Back in the dark ages when I started posting terrible music videos to this channel, I came across a device that all the famous YouTube boy men had been shilling called the GE200 from Mooer. Mooer? Is it like Mooer? You remember when people used to do this joke at the beginning of all their videos? I was so impressed that I immediately bought one so that I could use it in my cool horror fanboy music videos that no one watched. And when it showed up, it completely changed my life. I mean, sort of, it's kind of more complicated than that. I started this YouTube channel in 2011 and immediately started not posting videos for 7 years or something like that. My idea at the time was to post music videos because that seemed like it was sort of a popular thing. And I've been doing a music project that only a small handful of my friends pretended to listen to. And it was comprised of songs that were all based off of horror movies. I know what you're gonna say. Probably a midlife crisis. This was a big passion project and an outlet for me after I stopped trying to be a real life musician once I realized that if I wanted to eat food, I needed to get a job and not be on the road with no money all the time. This is before living in your car was trending on Instagram. And before Instagram. This early content was a lot of fun to make and in a lot of ways taught me about YouTube's functionality and what a troll was, but still, not many people watched those early videos outside of my friends and family. I think in the first year I managed to trick 100 people into subscribing to my channel, most of them I'm sure I knew IRL. Well, on July 22nd, 2018, just a shade over 7 years ago, I posted my very first gear review. It was of the then new GE200 and it was really bad. I mean, there was this hat I always wore because I was trying to grow out my hair and I could never get it to not look really stupid. I had just bought a GE200 because the shills, and at the time I wasn't really familiar with plugins and my computer was probably too slow to really load any anyways. I had a Pod HD, which I had been using for a long time, and I was really happy with it, but the idea that I could load IRs into something was a game changer for me. My friends that had the Axe-Fx Ultra always bragged about being able to do it, and it was a real blemish of the Pod HD at the time. Line 6, more like line shame. While the GE200 and Mooer's products in general have always been reasonably affordable devices, I remember being really nervous to buy it at the time. We had just bought a new house and I had a 2-year-old at home, and literally my whole paycheck went to my bills. Spending any extra money on something frivolous like that felt really scary to me. I vividly remember hovering over the buy button like, should I do it? I'm gonna do it, fuck it. I shouldn't do it. What if the toilet breaks? Fuck it, I can fix the toilet. I'm sure some of you can relate. I learned so much about guitar from that device, and for a while, a lot of the content I started to upload was based around the GE200. Updates and comparing it to other things because I basically had no ideas for videos. But there's kind of a purity and innocence that was there in the early content. There was no expectations or sponsorships, really just a guy and his camera. And really bad color grading. Well, lo and behold, talking about guitar gear got me to my first 1,000 subscribers, which meant I could monetize my channel. Time to put in my 2 weeks, am I right? See, it turns out that on YouTube, people like hearing people talk about making music more than actually making music. But in a way, it's a really beautiful thing because it's allowed so many people to connect through a new medium and explore a whole new method of communication and argue about the earth being flat. I thought that was old news. That's a thing again? And this is so true that YouTube actually holds the largest share of viewed content on television screens in 2025 per the Nielsen report. That's insane. But back to this bum in the GE200. You could say that the GE200 really got me my start on YouTube. And here we are 7 years later, I just passed the 100,000 subscriber mark and now I just make normal terrible videos. I know, what's this? Mooer has just plussed the GE200. This is like some sort of premonition, nay, a prophecy. Could this aligning of events be the end of the entire space-time continuum? Probably not, I'm sure it's a coincidence. We could just do the video now. This is the GE200 Plus Li. I'm going to do my best here to explain because I know it's confusing, but Mooer has been updating their GE Line 2 Pro version products, which essentially have newer quality of life features like Bluetooth support for control via the editor app and backing track playback, a new stylized chassis, and in some cases, both touch screens and RGB lighting, as well as an option for a built-in battery. The GE200 Plus is technically a Pro version unit, but since they already have a GE200 Pro, which really replaced the GE250 in terms of its size, price, and in and out options, they named this one the GE200 Plus. The GE200 Plus sits under the GE200 Pro in hierarchy and price and is sort of the true successor to the GE200. Okay, now that's out of the way. It features a new ARM multi-core architecture for increased processing power, a new button layout including a global EQ module for easy on-the-fly stage edits. It has 74 built-in preamps, 77 cab sims, 20 user IR slots, 255 preset slots, a 60-second drum looper, 70 real sample drum and metronome patterns, and like its predecessor, it still supports the MNRS sampling technology. As far as the in and out options, we have a 1/4-inch input, stereo XLR outputs with a ground lift, stereo 1/4-inch outputs, an expression pedal input, an 1/8" headphone jack, a USB-C port for connecting to your computer and using it as an audio interface or for data transfer. It also has Bluetooth 5.0 to support backing track playback from external devices, as well as mobile control via their mobile app. And like other updated models, the Plus series comes in both normal and an Li option. The Li option has a removable lithium-ion battery for up to 5.5 hours of battery life, as well as an RGB light strip. What's up, guys? I'm plugged into the GE200 Plus Li. It means it's battery powered, like Li, like lithium. Yeah. Anyways, speaking of battery powered, I don't think we need this plugged in, huh? My calculations are correct. When I unplug this, it should just stay on. Hey, look at that. We're actually gonna do this video with just the battery. Just raw dogging the tones. This is the first sound you get when you plug it in. But where are my manners? I am using this Jackson Warrior with EMGs that's got an EMG 81X in the bridge and an 85X in the neck. I love this guitar. It's like one of my favorite guitars, so that's why we're using it. The big difference in between the GE200 and the GE150 is not only with the GE200 do you have like a better chassis, like it's more, I don't know, ergonomic, I guess. But overall, this is just a more rugged unit. But the big difference is that the navigation with the user interface, you can just hit these buttons and go to your different blocks, you know? It makes editing it much easier because you're not so reliant on the scroll wheel that's over here. But for the most part, this seems to be the same layout as the old GE200. You do have the more updated looking OS in here. We're gonna turn the cab off because I'm running the GE200 Plus Li through this Boss tube amp expander. I'm just using this as a power amp to power this Mesa Boogie 4x12 cabinet. It's being mic'd up with a couple microphones. That's what you're hearing on your end. I'm not post-processing anything. For the most part, if you're familiar with Mooer, you're familiar with the amp models and stuff that they have in here. I think there are some sounds in this that I know I really like from using this for so often. I really like the Black Knight distortion. Let's start here. This is based off an Ingle amplifier, like the Ingle Blackmore, I believe. We can just use a scroll wheel to dial this in here. I find that for the most part here, with using the Mooer stuff, it's kind of like using a quad cortex with like a capture where you have a post EQ. That's how it affects the tones. So while you can't change things, it might not behave the same way as it would with an amplifier, for example. I need a noise gate like nobody's business here. I'm gonna again quickly just, oh look, one button, noise gate accomplished. Needs to be a little bit quicker. There we go, much better. We have a post EQ. Again, if you're familiar with the GE200, you're probably gonna be familiar with this whole layout. And the real updates here over the original GE200 are the stylistic updates. You know, you have a USB-C here instead of a USB-A. And then this one in particular also has the built-in battery, although they do have a version without the built-in battery for less money if you don't want that feature. We're still gonna go through some of the stuff here. We do have the global EQ, which is one click away, which is really nice. If you wanna just dial this in for your cab. I do have a little bit of like wub-wub going on. We're just gonna carve out 2 decibels of that 200 hertz range. It kind of matches this cab a little bit more. Now you can't do this in the patch with the actual EQ that's right here, but I just find that like if you're gonna use it through a cabinet or whatever, and you wanna dial in the EQ for that specific cabinet, you might as well just use the global EQ. Now we do have a pitch shifter here. It's the poly pitch shifter. Go down 4 semitones and put the mix at 100%. You get this sort of like phasery effect where the volume is kind of dipping up and down. It's a little bit weird. Let's see if I can actually, I can't remember if you can move these or not. I feel like you can, but yes, okay. Let's try moving this because that is not the place we would want a pitch shifter, right? We would want it up front. Let's see if that fixed it. Let's see if it can go much lower than 2. You know, most people that want to use pitch shifters to shift the tuning on their guitars during their set or whatever, so they don't have to change guitars, don't want to go much more than 2 semitones, but let's go 4 semitones. And the more you go, the more you try to push it, the more latency you're gonna get. But the latency's a little bit increased there, so you know, it's just something to keep in mind if you want to use that feature. I get asked about pitch shifters all the time with multi-effects units, so that's why I try to cover it. Let's go to a clean tone. I know. But for the boomers out there, let's go to a clean tone and then go through like the delay and the reverb effects, and then we'll come back to this here. We'll do this briefly for you metalheads, I swear to God. And then let's go with a Jazz 120 clean, right? We need to like kill all the bass basically in this though. When it comes to delays, we have quite a few delays in here. I like the reverse delay on these guys. It's cool, the effects sound really good. When it comes to reverbs, we have 9 total reverbs. Oh, I like swell, but I think with the shimmer being my favorite. All right, let's get back to metal tones, yeah? You know what, let's keep these things on and we'll do like a lead sort of thing here. You're gonna have to go into the reverb though and do something a little bit less dramatic. Let's just do a plate reverb. Maybe the delay's a little overkill there too. Just like an analog delay. It sounds pretty good. Let's go back home and I just want to go through, of course we have like the groove station if you're into drum loops. I'm not going to go into that, but it's there. Let's go into our system and see what we have here. Lighting on, slow flashing. We can change the color here. That's kind of cool. I mean, it's the little things, right? Rainbow wave if you want it to be like cool, colorful. Now, I don't know how you feel about LEDs in your guitar products. Maybe you're like, hey, keep that in your gaming PCs or whatever, but you know, I think it's kind of cool. I think it's kind of unique, sets it apart a little bit. And of course we do have the expression pedal over here. You could change your expression pedal to control parameters in your effects, to control the volume, whatever. It's obviously not down on the ground, so I can't really press on it. We do have a looper in here as well. You have to hold down the B and C foot switches to get to it. Something that you need to note with the Mooer line of products, because they put out a lot of products. Like they're constantly trying to fill holes in the price ranges of things that they offer you. And then, you know, going back and updating some of these. That's funny. I accidentally recorded myself. While they're trying to fill holes in all the price ranges, and going back and updating some of their older units, like the GE200, a lot of the core of what already exists there is not changing that much, you know what I mean? It's not like they're redoing all the amp models and all of the effects. These are mostly cosmetic changes and some quality of life improvements with like the GE1000 and the GS1000 having the touch screen. This one doesn't have a touch screen. It's just a normal screen. You have to use the encoder wheel. But I digress. Like if you're the guy sitting there with your GE200 going, you know, I really like this thing, but the one thing it's missing is some RGB light. Well, then this is for you. So I want to give you some meaningful insight as someone who has been using Mooer's products for a long time now and is also confused by the amount of them there are and what the differences are. For the most part, the tones and the things that really matter are going to be really similar. What you will notice as you move up in terms of price are form factor improvements, increased in and out options, and quality of life improvements like the touchscreen on the 1000 series products, or the battery if you go for the lithium versions. And while I personally think that there are too many options that create confusion for consumers, it is nice that they offer something in nearly every price category. The new GE200 Plus comes in and takes the spot of the old GE200 at $299 US, which puts the previous version of the GE200, which is still very competent by the way, at $229 US. With the new GE200 Plus, you get the more stylized casing and buttons. If you upgrade to the Plus Li, you get the built-in battery and the RGB strip. I think the GE200 has always been a great piece of guitar gear, especially after they updated it with the ability to load the MNRS files, and that's still true with the GE200 Plus. If you already own a GE200 and like the idea of a battery-powered model with cool RGB lighting, then this might be worth it to you to upgrade. But if cosmetics and built-in batteries don't matter to you, you probably won't get a lot of benefit from the upgrade. And if you are new, you now have even more model spec sheets to read through to figure out what you actually need, but rest assured that the core tones and functionality are as great as they've ever been. Alright, this video has been a really fun piece of nostalgia and commemoration in a lot of ways. Thank you to Mooer and specifically their international marketing manager, but most importantly, thank you. As always, if you like this video, make sure to let YouTube know by hitting the like button. If you really liked it, consider subscribing or being massively overpowered and joining these fine fellows over here on Patreon, where you get behind the scenes footage and my random thoughts in the form of Discord posts, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.